Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this Hurricane Isaias coverage for August 2nd, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, it would be really awesome if you guys did hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for 900 subscribers. We're almost there. We're less than 100 away from the big ultimate goal of 1,000 subscribers. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as well as ring the bell notification so you don't miss my next upload. Also, watching the whole video because getting to the goal of 1,000 subscribers in monetization, we're getting very close. And you guys watching the whole video will help the Weather Dude's channel out a lot. So please consider watching the whole video as well. Please do. And also like and share this video with your friends. Thank you. Now let's go on with today's video. And yes, before you judge, I do call it Isaias because it's easier personally for me to say. If you heard me say it the other way, you just don't want to hear me say it the other way. All right, so we're going to be tracking Tropical Storm Isaias today. It is moving up Florida's east coast, and before we get into the National Hurricane Center maps and all the maps here, I did want to take a look at the live radar imagery here from the National Weather Service, and you can see it's kind of hard to really tell where the center is of this. There is some counterclockwise rotation here. But this has had a big blowup of convection early this morning. There was just a huge blowup of convection, and the wind shear, that's why the storm's been weakening, because the wind shear has been blowing those cloud tops off to the right. So that's why even parts of the eastern Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas were getting slammed, because even though the center moved just west of there, and it made landfall in the Bahamas eventually, but the wind shear kind of blew those cloud tops off to the east here, kind of in this direction. But we are still seeing some bands of heavier rainfall moving through Florida here. We got another one getting ready to move on shore. But you're in the thread today from St. Augustine, Palm Coast, Daytona Beach, Titusville, Space Coast here, Melbourne, Fort Pierce. All right, West Palm, we're not really seeing much on the radar right now, but there are some heavy bands that seem to be actually reaching the West Coast. All right, so even though there is wind shear blowing these cloud tops off to the right, if it wasn't for the wind shear, we'd be seeing a lot more rain bands reaching the West Coast. So in a way, for the West Coast, it was kind of a relief for you guys, but still, we see some heavy rain moving through Orlando, just moved through recently. All right, so hopefully we will be checking back to the radar. But this is the latest major update. It's the 11 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Winds are at 65 miles per hour, but this won't be weakening much as it moves up the East Coast, and I'll explain why. All right, the movement is now more north-northwest. It's not moving necessarily, in a northwest direction. It's starting to make that northern turn at 8 miles an hour. This tropical storm warnings are on the east coast of Florida, Georgia coast, now all the South Carolina coast, and the southern coast of North Carolina. Now the Outer Banks have been upgraded to a tropical storm watch. And I think we're going to see this pattern of watches and warnings move up the east coast eventually, where we could still see a fully tropical storm, not post-tropical, but a fully tropical storm up until it reaches, Maine, and then once it leaves the United States, it'll probably become post-tropical. But I think that as soon as, I think once it goes up to New England, I think this will probably become post-tropical. I don't see it being tropical that long. This will probably fade into a post-tropical storm and eventually a post-tropical depression once it leaves the United States. All right, but still, this is a very strong storm. It's still very intense here. Looking at how exactly strong this could, how strong could this get exactly? You can see it probably going to be remaining at 65, but still, here's the key: the wind gusts will still be gusting to hurricane force. We still will be seeing 75 mile per hour wind gusts. As it moves up Florida's east coast here, 65 mile per hour winds. Again, I don't see that now. The track, if I shut off the, the wind probabilities real quick, you see that originally, if you watch my last coverage, so today we'll talk about more of the Carolina coast and more of the southeast. Like last video was more Florida centered. Hopefully, if I get into another coverage video on this, then it'll be focused. Tomorrow, that'll be focused more so on the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. All right, but this black line on yesterday's video was going right over Titusville on the East Coast. So it has gone a little bit far to the east, and I think that's why this could maintain a little bit more of its strength, because it won't be making as much land interaction on Florida. You can see not really much land interaction here, but it will be making some land interaction once it heads into the Carolinas. We'll be talking about that as well. All right. So you can see we still got tropical storm warnings up and down the coastline. When it makes landfall in South Carolina, most likely it'll have still 65 mile per hour winds, with winds gusting near or to hurricane force. All right. Then once it gets inland North Carolina, it goes down to 60. By the time it starts heading into the northeast in New England, we're talking about 50-mile-an-hour winds, but wind gusts still to 65 miles per hour. And once it's in northern New England, getting ready to leave the United States, 45-mile-per-hour sustained winds. But you can see the entire 95 quarter here is in line, and I will be talking about them somewhat today, but again, that'll be more centered in tomorrow's coverage. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that. So, looking at the earliest reasonable time, the arrival time of tropical storm force winds. For northern Florida, it's going to be this evening into tonight. All right, for Georgia, it's going to be more so Monday morning. The Carolinas, Monday afternoon to Monday evening. Tuesday morning for the Mid-Atlantic, and maybe the southern coastal parts of the Northeast, and then Northeast and northern New England, probably by about late Tuesday. And if it does leave the United States and it still has some tropical characteristics, it might get to you guys over there, like well north of Nova Scotia, just west of Newfoundland by about Wednesday morning through Wednesday around noontime. So looking at the wind history of this, like I said, at one point it was a hurricane. We have seen a little bit of orange on Florida's coast, so Florida has been getting a little bit of tropical storm force winds indicated by the orange there. So we have seen some, but it hasn't been much in terms of tropical storm force winds. But tropical storm conditions will be, again, continuing to spread on the east coast of Florida, then eventually Georgia and the Carolinas Monday and Tuesday. We can still see 2 to 4 feet of surge, regardless of the fact that it may not be a hurricane anymore. Still 2 to 4 feet of storm surge is possible. And we may need a storm surge warning along the Carolina and Georgia coastline. We'll see. Heavy rainfall will be continuing for northwestern Bahamas through tonight. You guys can see another couple inches of rain, possibly locally higher. We can see flash flooding. You see urban flooding, Carolinas and Virginia. All right. And then we'll be monitoring, Tuesday and then early Wednesday for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. A tropical storm watches on North Carolina coast. Tropical storm conditions are going to be possible on Tuesday on the North Carolina coast. But we may need additional watches and warnings later today as Isaias will be moving through the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast Tuesday and Wednesday. I think it's more likely that the Mid-Atlantic will get tropical storm watches and warnings than it will be for the Northeast, maybe for the coastline, but for the Northeast and New England, don't expect to see too many tropical storm watches or warnings. We probably will have more of that in the Mid-Atlantic because the storm will be a little bit stronger when it's in the Mid-Atlantic. So looking at the flood risk, anywhere in this yellow color here, definitely want to watch out. But in that red color for the Carolina coast of Virginia, it could be even worse here. But still, we're talking about 3 to 6 inches of rain up and down the 95 quarter potentially from Maine down through South Carolina and Georgia. Florida's east coast, I think, because obviously the Northeast kind of sticks out more, because it sticks out to the east more than Florida does, because Florida's a little bit west. Like here's Nantucket and here's Space Coast. All right, so it's a little different. So Florida's coast got spared in terms of the heaviest rainfall, but they won't be spared by the wind and the surge, all right? Because Florida's east coast has still picked up a couple inches of rain, even locally higher in some spots. So again, 4 to 6 inches of rain up the east coast here potentially. So about 3 to 6 inches of rain, locally higher amounts, but over the water, I think that's where the heaviest rain will be, probably 6 to 10 inches. That will most likely be remaining over water just outside of the Space Coast here. You guys could be seeing 2 to 4 inches of rainfall for a place like Titusville. Now, looking at that storm surge graphic here, you can see that probably 1 to 3 feet now from Jupiter Inlet up through Edisto Beach, South Carolina. And then from Edisto Beach to Cape Fear, that's where your more bullseye is for 2 to 4 feet of surge, because I think you guys are a little bit more prone to more surge flooding in that area. So look at the National Weather Service again. By zooming a little closer, here are your tropical storm warnings in effect. Northeast to that, we got tropical storm watches. But we do also have a storm surge watch for the South Carolina, North Carolina coastline, and we also do have flash flood watches for the Carolinas as well. Here's kind of the state. I can show you guys. This is the state border between North and South Carolina. All right. So looking at what we call our ship's diagnostic message, how is it going to look from here on out for Isaias here? And you can see 24, 36 hours from now, we're going to see a little bit less wind shear than we are now, maybe closer to 20 knots as opposed to 29 or 30. So wind shear could be dropping a little bit, and with the warming water, this will be happening as Isaias moves over the Gulf Stream with some water temperatures 29 to 30 Celsius, which is well into the upper 80s. So if we can see this from moving over the Gulf Stream at the same time we start to see wind shear dropping, I think that maybe the storm can gain a little bit more intensity before landfall. I don't think it'll become a hurricane again, but maybe more. It might stay at 65 miles an hour, might even go up to 70 briefly. We'll see. Storm speed will also be the storm will also be speeding up. All right. At one point, once it moves through New England, it's going to race until it starts dying, and then it all of a sudden slows down once it gets well out of the United States and well out of Canada. But for now, the storm is moving at about 8 or 9 miles an hour. 24 hours from now, so maybe tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, maybe more so, moving at about 12 to 18 miles an hour. And then 48 hours from now, so we're talking about Tuesday morning, could be moving at well over 30 miles an hour. So the storm could be racing on past by that point. So again here, Isaias looks like it is moving at 55, the maximum winds are 55 knots. So again, 65 mile per hour winds, pressure's at 995 millibars, radius of circulation to 172 miles. So this has a big circulation, and about a 35 or so mile radius of maximum wind. All right, and you can see the blow up. I'll be showing you the satellite imagery as well. You can see how the blow up of convection. All right, and it's been continuing. All right, we still had the area. It's growing. All right, it's not only growing to the east, it's growing to the west. We're starting to see more flare up of convection. So this could be a sign of Isaias potentially strengthening. In the same token, however, we still got some of the cloud tops being blown up to the right with the wind shear. All right, but we are starting to see a flare up of convection. This could be a sign that it's strengthening. I think I'll be waiting more towards a little bit later in the videos because the aircraft, we're having our 19th aircraft recon mission from the Hurricane Hunters and the NOAA aircraft. So I'll be showing you that most likely in a few minutes here, depending on if you're watching it while it's live, watching this video, whether it's live or, but I will be showing you a few minutes later on in the video the aircraft recon, so don't forget to stick around for that. But you can see there's real area convection here that we're starting to see flare up. I'll be showing you the more the infrared satellite as well. But you can see it's a little loop. We're starting to see a little circulation in there, but like I said, this is not organized because the storm center should really never be where the area of greatest convection is. That's a sign that the storm is sort of disorganized. Normally, the center will be over here, and we start to see, your wraparound of your convection, but we're not quite seeing that. But this storm, for the wind shear and the conditions that it's put up with, I think it's putting up a good fight. So looking at the infrared satellite, you can see this huge area, all right, of red and black, and even a little bit of magenta as this storm center is trying to wrap around there. So, but the Bahamas looks like it's starting to leave you guys, but that flare of convection looks like it might be starting to dwindle a little bit, but it could re-spark as some of the models are showing here. All right, so take a look at the aircraft reconnaissance. Okay, here it is. Looks like we have an update here, and it looks like they might have picked up some hurricane force winds. All right, and because of that blow up of convection, I think that this could be bumped up back to 70 in the next update. But like I said, though, if they're picking up winds of 64 to 83 knots, to me, that translates to about 64 to 83 miles per hour. So my prediction is that either it will stay at 65 in the next update or probably get bumped up to 70. So remember, 2 p.m., which is not too far from now, will be I'm sure I'll be able to say it in the chat because depending on whether you guys are watching this live or not, the 2 p.m. is more of an intermediate advisory. So the intermediate advisories, they don't really update the track. They more so update like what the storm is doing currently. They don't the track update will come at 5 p.m. All right, then 8 p.m. will be another intermediate advisory. Then 11 p.m. will be another major update. But the hurricanes are flying around. I might show this to you again before the video ends. But the fact that they might have picked up some winds of near hurricane force or at hurricane force, indicated by the purple here, 64 knots plus, that might mean maybe the winds are around 70 miles an hour now. All right, because sometimes that goes overboard a little bit. And you can see also the SFMR wind speeds. You can see that we found at one point 65 knots they found as the surface wind. Okay, that's like the actual surface wind. All right, they did actually pick up 65 knots. So this could be bumped up to probably maybe even a hurricane by the next update, but if not, maybe at 5 p.m. Because I'm pretty sure the intermediate advisory, I'm pretty sure they update what the storm is doing currently, but expect maybe to get bumped up to 70 mile an hour winds the next update because they found some stronger winds. The only thing you might notice, though, is that at the same time they picked up the strongest wind, that's not when they picked up the heaviest rainfall. The heaviest rainfall was found at about noontime, just before noon is when the heaviest rain was found so far. All right, and let me actually refresh this. Maybe we do need to refresh this. Here we go. All right, so again, here's where I was just showing you here, winds of 65 knots. But they are picking up areas of heavier rainfall, but now it starts to look a little bit more organized. We see the area of strongest wind, where we see the area of heaviest rainfall, and I think that looks a little bit more organized because that's not what we were seeing just about a half hour ago. All right, so looking at the low storm location, again, it's sitting right between Western Bahama Island and Florida's East Coast currently. Looking at the model track guidance here, you can see that now some models now this does depend. If some of the models have it making landfall maybe on eastern North Carolina, some models have it making landfall in central North Carolina, some models have it making landfall in South Carolina. The farther west it goes, the more land interaction it's going to have, and the weaker the storm system will probably be. But all the models here take it right up near the Delmarva, right up the Delmarva Peninsula here. So definitely want to stay alert if you are in the Delmarva Peninsula. But you can see that we could see the pressure start to go down again, maybe towards yellow. So maybe some resurgence of wind activity, maybe some more stronger winds are possible. The GEPS model tracks definitely take us a little bit farther to the west, indicating maybe a little bit of a weaker storm, but nonetheless, some models are putting out pressures less than 990 again, which is near hurricane force. So we'll see. But all models definitely are different here. Looking at the model intensity guidance, okay, some models do, a lot of models actually do briefly bring it back up to 70 mile an hour winds, maybe close to hurricane force. A few models even bring it to a weak category 1 hurricane briefly, but then it will be dropping off from there, still being a tropical storm when it impacts the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Something to keep in mind. All right. So look at the NAM model here. Here's the low moving up Florida's East Coast. You can see 18 hours from now, by 2 a.m. on Monday, all right, a little bit less than 18 hours from now, it's still on Florida's East Coast. The low center may not leave Florida's East Coast until maybe late Monday afternoon. All right. Then, according to the NAM model, has it making landfall in eastern South Carolina. All right, and then there you go. There's that intense low with a lot of rainfall there for the mid-Atlantic, but that'll be focused more so on another video. So look at the total accumulated precipitation here. For the Carolinas, looks like for eastern South Carolina, maybe upwards of 6 inches of rainfall. For central and eastern North Carolina, looks like about 2 to 5 inches of rainfall for you guys. So still a lot of rainfall. And even Florida's Space Coast here, maybe around Titusville, maybe another 2 or 4 inches of rain is possible. So here's your kind of like your satellite loop according to the NAM model. Kind of want to show you what they were thinking about that flare-up of convection. All right, well, according to the NAM model, it only grows more. Look at this huge flare-up of convection. It starts to go all the way back down into the Bahamas now. So this looks like a pretty healthy tropical storm for the conditions it's trying to battle. It's definitely, again, it's putting up a fight. Then we see another flare-up right here, all right, maybe around overnight tonight into Monday morning. All right, then even another flare-up of red and black on the satellite, which is obviously well down here, which means obviously colder cloud types, more rainfall. And I did actually look at the precipitable water for, say, like up in the northern mid-Atlantic. Hopefully I'll be able to show you that tomorrow. The precipitable water actually was higher in the 12Z run of the GFS than it was in the 6Z run. So that might mean the storm could squeeze out a little bit more rainfall than it was supposed to before. So something to keep in mind. But looking at the Carolinas here, then it moves up into the mid-Atlantic, still a very potent system, and then maybe a whole line gets dragged behind it, and maybe some storms left behind off the coast and maybe through southern Florida. All right. So here's the surface wind now. So again, look at these huge amounts of purple and white, lighter purple in the map. That indicates winds of near 70 to even 75 miles an hour. So with the storm moving over the Gulf Stream, if it's like the ship's diagnostic message and saying that, hey, this could maybe, if the wind shear does drop a little bit, maybe this could strengthen a little bit more. Maybe not quite to a hurricane, but this could strengthen a little bit more before it makes landfall in South Carolina, because not only could the wind shear go down a little bit, but it could also move over that very warm Gulf Stream because of the way the current is. That can help strengthen the storm system. But after that, though, it will go on land, and if it comes offshore, I mean, if it takes a track like this here, maybe a little bit of a weaker storm, but if it tracks offshore of, say, Delaware and New Jersey, I mean, it's less land interaction for the storm system, and maybe it could maintain its strength a little bit. So we'll be watching. Before I do go, however, I do want to show you the aircraft recon, maybe one more refresh. I don't think we actually have another one, but that is your latest aircraft recon. Hopefully I'll be able to give you guys more updates. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to check out my other upload for today, Invest 94L coverage. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off till next time. I'll catch you guys in the next video.